which are the differences between directing a series episode or a movie?
Okay, and would you like me to kind of incorporate the question into the answer?
No, not necessarily.
Okay, all right. It's interesting because the process of directing an episode of television is in almost every respect identical to directing a feature film, because you still approach the scene as the director, you have to stage it, you have to confer with the director of photography, how shall we photograph it? You work with the actors, you say action, they do their thing, you adjust the actors, you don't move on until you're happy with what you have. So in that respect, it's the same. However, things have to be done very much more quickly. For an episode of television, you have to make decisions much more quickly. You have far less time to do it. That's one of the main differences. Another difference is that in television, the final authority is really the writer-producer, the person who created the show, not on the set. On the set, the director is king. The director is the storyteller. But in terms of the final product, the showrunner, what's called the showrunner, really has to supervise the overall series. So it has to safeguard all of that. So as a director on a television show, I have to be mindful of what other episodes, what are happening in other episodes. I have to serve the whole story, not just my episode.
So, one of the main things of Dr. House is the representation, the transposition of the disease. In your opinion, what is the meaning of healing diseases, of curing in Dr. House in the series?
I'm not sure I understand.
The meaning of fighting the disease in the series, how do you see it? How do you approach it?
Non so se non ho capito forse.
Non tanto bene.
Well,
Non so se
I mean, I could reflect. I'm not.
non so se capito.
You want to try in French?
Ok, un des thèmes de Dr. House, c'est la représentation de la maladie.
Si.
Quel est le rôle pour curer la maladie? Je sais pas si c'est... Non.
Okay, well, let me try. Dr. House was modeled actually on Sherlock Holmes. And Sherlock Holmes solves crime. In Dr. House, you solve a disease. The disease is the enemy. So every malady in an episode is the unknown, is the puzzle that House must solve. I think it's particularly interesting that this is the dramatic conflict in House, because House himself is a character who is deeply wounded, who needs healing himself. So I think he's very drawn to disease, and he's fascinated by disease, and he desires to heal it at the same time that he's fascinated by it. So it's very interesting in House, how he is able to be the healer to others, but not for himself, which is, I think, the poignance of it.
Okay. Qu'est-ce que c'est important pour curer la maladie? La chose plus importante en doctorat, selon vous?
Le plus important. Why is the most important thing to cure it? Je ne comprends pas. No, I'd like to understand. We can take a few more minutes.
Okay.
The tool, which is mostly used to understand and then defeat the illness, the disease. In your opinion, which one is the tool that Dr. House and his team uses to defeat the disease?
House has a greater ability to, what we say in English, think out of the box. And the illnesses that present themselves in Dr. House are particularly difficult to diagnose. House is the one who has that ability to think the new thought, the creative thought, to see clearly where no one else can really see what the source of the illness is. All right. All right.
Is there a series that you loved as a spectator, or that you would have liked to direct?
That I have not directed?
Yeah.
The show I would love to direct is Breaking Bad, which I think is so brilliant for how it explores the disintegration of a man, of a character, who is making one choice after another, going deeper into the dark side. I did have an opportunity to direct an episode in the second season, but at the time I was a producer-director on the HBO show Big Love, and I was not available. Now when I'm available, they already have their director, so it's very poignant for me. But I think Breaking Bad is a great piece of television.
Okay.
So,
The last.
Okay.
how much of your personality, is there in Dr. Rao's character? How you managed to develop his complex personality?
How much is my personality, Dr. House? What I love about directing is that it gives me an opportunity to explore deeply characters that are at first foreign to me and find ways in which I share their way of seeing things. It enables me to learn a new way of looking at the world and to find the ways in which someone who makes very different choices could be me if the imaginary circumstances from which I came were different. So in any kind of directing, I'm always trying to justify, to make sense of everybody's motivation. And House is a particularly fascinating character to me because I think he is someone who is so aware of his wounds and of his imperfections, and it's so painful to him that he will not put up with anybody else's hypocrisy or denial of their own. And I find that really fascinating, and at times I think all of us can understand that.